Hit me.
Welcome to the Senior Rehab Podcast.
The podcast for rehab clinicians that want to better serve older adults.
And now, your host, Dustin Jones.
Hello, friends. Thank you for spending some time with me. I appreciate you downloading the Senior Rehab Podcast, and I think you will be very excited to meet Mark Hager. Mark Hager, he is a respected thought leader and strategic advisor on the longevity economy, baby boomer consumers, and aging in place. He wears many hats, but he's a coach, he's a teacher, he's the founder of aginginplace.com, and a former host of America's #1 podcast for business owners serving the 50-plus market. So he is serving people that we are serving as well, and he has a wonderful perspective on how can we better serve this baby boomer population that is going to continually need more resources than what we can offer right now. But there's so many opportunities for all of us in healthcare and in many different sectors. I know this will be a helpful conversation for you, especially for those that are wanting to think bigger outside of the box of our healthcare experience and how we can be very innovative in how we serve our older adults. So I am very happy for you to meet Mark Hager. Mark Hager, welcome to the Senior Rehab Podcast. Thanks for your time.
Oh, glad to be here, Dustin.
So we connected on Twitter, as I've connected with so many other people that come onto the show. And you run the website aginplace.com, which is a very useful website. And I, definitely dove into that and, spent about 30 to 40 minutes looking at just all the tips and recommendations and advice that you're giving people, and thought this would be a great topic for people like me, the rehab clinician, that could be of service, to you and your mission with this website. So I'm excited to talk about this, but can you just give us the kind of the background and how you got into running aginplace.com?
Sure. It's actually kind of a funny story. My younger brother, about 13 years ago, was working in real estate and had been doing remodeling for years. And he came talking to me one day about this new certification or designation that the National Association of Home Builders had, which was the Certified Aging in Place Specialist. Of course, nobody at that time had ever heard of the term aging in place. And essentially they had gotten together with the AARP, had realized, that the baby boomers were growing older, and there was 76 million of them, and that they were going to need help. So they put together this course to try to help remodelers and builders learn about working with older customers and some of the needs that they were going to have as they grew older in their homes. And that right there was what launched me into researching about the baby boomers and what the impact of their aging was going to have, for them and their lives right there in their communities, but also for us as a nation. So I started the website, and I've been doing it ever since then, just helping as many people as I could learn about the idea of aging in place.
When you were in that research phase, what were some of the things that were shocking to you?
Well, I got to tell you, by and large, the thing that was the most shocking was the sheer number of baby boomers. And then to begin, let's think about this for a minute. There's 76 million of them, give or take. At the point in time, maybe the average population over the age 65 was like at 12.8%. But now we're looking somewhere in the neighborhood of, 15.5% maybe. And by the time we get into 2030 and 2050, we'll be looking at 20% or 21%, depending on where you live.
That's wild.
And let's just put that into perspective, what that means for your audience. That means now where you live, 20% of the people are retired or over 65 and dealing with all the things, physically that people that age deal with. That means there's a lot more people to serve in that age bracket.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy to not grasp the the massiveness of those numbers, because they get thrown out a lot. But when you put it in perspective and just even that 12% to 15% increase, if you just look at that, you're like, oh, it's not a big deal. But when you put in the perspective of, we're talking millions of people, that is pretty eye opening. So other than, the increase in, this population, over the right now and over the next few years or decades, I should say, why is this such a big deal? Aging in place. What's the big deal for it?
Well, I'll tell you, once you really wrap your mind around the number, okay, the number of people that we're talking about, and you begin to consider what that actually means, okay, you think about the things that older people need help with. Okay, you have at that point in time, your body starts going through changes, and you're more susceptible to catching things or hurting yourself, or even being able, to do the things that you used to be able to do, right? Because your body doesn't work the way that it used to the older you get. Mm-hmm. From a medical standpoint, that means more patience. But from a community standpoint, when you have people who are, so many of them aren't able to drive anymore, which means they can't have their basic needs taken care of if they don't have someone around to take care of them. And even if they do, what does that mean? That means more busy families, more running around. Mm-hmm. It also means that they can't take care of the homes as well as they used to be able to. They may need help with them. They may need people to come in and help them with their daily lives, right? Their activities of daily living. Yeah. It just keeps going and going. We have all these people who now a percentage of them that will grow every year are going to be homebound, right? Or not be able to get out as much. And that means limited social activities. And that right there in and of itself could have, major ripples just in the number of things that we see with elderly suicide. Right. And I don't mean to be a downer, but there are just so many different things to think about. This is huge. It really is huge.
Yeah. And I think that many people listen to this. I mean, there are people in the rehab setting that are in multiple areas. So, the outpatient clinic or maybe acute care hospital, some people in skilled nursing facilities. But I mean, just in my short experience, it's very hard to grasp the impact of all these different things until, you're in someone's home and you spend time with them. And so the home health therapists have a very unique perspective because, I mean, just like you mentioned, I mean, it is a big deal, but it's very all-encompassing. It goes beyond, physical function and the ability to get around, but all these different areas in their lives are impacted. But there are things, that can be done to improve their situation. So tell us in terms of, your website, how are you trying to impact specifically? Like what tactics or what do you talk about on this website to improve, people's lives?
Well, I talk about a lot of different topics, but my main focus is on the home, preparing the home to support a person through these changes in their lives. I mean, the honest truth is nobody likes to talk about getting older. I mean, heck, I'm almost 50 and I don't like to talk about getting older, but it's not a topic that we all like. But the fact is that if you're going to be able to make sure that you have the life that you want, you have to make preparations, and it's true for anything in life. So I've mainly focused on the home, helping them to realize what they're going to be going through as they grow older and what that means in terms of their home. For instance, having a no-step entry into their house, so it's much easier for them to get in and out, and they reduce the chances of falling. Things in their bathrooms, a no-lip shower or a zero-threshold shower, and grab bars, at least preparing for them, having the stuff put in the wall so they can have them installed when they need to. Having space to move around, decluttering. I mean, we just go through so many things on the site to help people understand what they can do to help prepare their home to support them as they grow older. And the thing is, And a lot of people don't realize this. What I'm mainly talking about is a concept called universal design.
Yeah.
Right? We're designed for everybody, regardless of age or physical ability. And it's good for everybody.
Yeah.
So when you make these changes to your home, you're actually making your home better for anybody who visits too.
Yeah. If, people that listen to this podcast will probably be familiar with the episode that I did with Chris Hines and Matt Martin. And we talked about universal design or community design. And it does have a big impact, but how would someone go about pursuing some of these changes, especially if they require some construction or some pretty heavy duty repairs? Is there like a database or recommended way that you kind of lead people to start that process and planning and making changes?
Well, the first thing that they would need to do is they would need to educate themselves. They would need to understand and really take a thoughtful look, something with some determination to learn what they need to know. And it takes a level of acceptance, right?
Yeah.
You've got to be honest with yourself, knowing that things are going to happen. I mean, life is change. It is for everybody, regardless of your age. So you might as well prepare. And then you start learning about what it's going to take in your house. You learn about you don't have to learn the technical stuff, just conceptually, right? Yeah. What does it mean if I can't raise my leg? Or what does it mean if I can't reach up into the cabinets? And what can be done about that? And once you learn a little bit about those things, then you need to find someone who is qualified and experienced in doing these type of things. Now, I work with a lot of different companies and a lot of different owners, and they range from home remodelers to occupational therapists or physical therapists who've gotten into this type of work, managing these types of projects. I've worked with realtors. I mean, you name it, who do this type of work or oversee this type of work. So you need to find someone in your community that can do that, and then work with them to build yourself a plan for your home. And I cannot stress enough that you need someone who knows what they're doing. I work with lots of occupational therapists. There's been a stark increase in the number of OTs that are interested in doing this type of work.
Yeah.
And working in the home. As a matter of fact, I was on a call with a group of them last night, and we were talking about working with contractors, right, to get this work done.
Yeah.
And it's hard right now to find people who are experienced, but with the advent of technology, you can get someone like my partner, my business partner. He is in Seattle, but he's worked with OTs and remodelers all over the country.
Wow.
Consulting on this type of work to get people's homes where they need to be.
That's wild. So are these, let's say the OTs that you consulted with, are these practicing OTs that are working, in the clinic or in home health, kind of in the medical setting, that want to be well versed in this area, or are they wanting to take the jump into mainly focusing on home modifications?
Well, I'm going to answer both.
Yeah.
Because
okay.
It's a mix. I've talked with a lot of them over the years, and the majority of them are people who are very interested in this type of work, and they want to make a transition to doing this type of work full time.
Okay.
Now, I have some that I'm working with right now who they're in a clinical setting, and they just want to educate themselves, and they want to be able to advise, right, and even oversee. But they want to be able to help people find contractors that can help them do the work and maybe oversee the work. There's some people who don't really want to be in a construction setting. They don't want to manage that type of project, but they do want to consult to make sure that the work is done properly. Mm-hmm. And that is where I see the value, right, in having clinicians work with remodelers, is because you guys have a background that these remodelers don't have, and they don't really want it, right? That's not their expertise.
Yeah.
It's being able to provide value to that process of planning That's where the magic is.
Yeah. So what would you say to the clinician that heard, you talk about these things and they're interested, they're excited, they really want to learn more about how they can better serve their patients in the home and potentially, consult on some of these projects? Because as a home health PT, speaking for myself, I've got 10 patients right now that I would love, to be well versed enough to get something rolling for them to make modifications and be able to connect the right people to make a project happen. So say someone that's excited about this, what would you say to them? What's kind of the next step for them to make this a reality, for them to be able to do that?
Well, again, the first best step is going to be to educate yourselves. Obviously from a clinical background, you have a good idea of what changes aging brings for someone, but you need to know what that means in terms of their home. So if you're very serious about it, you could go to, let's say, the University of Southern California, the Davis Extension. They offer an online program for an executive certificate in home modifications where you can learn about, the different modifications that are done in a home and why. And that's a great place. And it's actually a really, really good program. Yeah. Or you can just go online and you can start learning. You go to my website at agentplace.com or go listen to some of the podcasts that I've done with my partner at Booming Your Bottom Line, and learn about what it takes to serve these people so you're prepared. And it really depends on what are you wanting to do. If you're in a clinical setting and that's where you want to stay, then the knowledge you need is different than if you are looking at being able to integrate this into the services that you provide. You have to have a deeper knowledge if you're going to manage a project like this versus being able to just inform people that this is available and maybe make some contacts in your community where you can refer, right? So you build your own professional network of people that you trust that you can refer your patients to.
Yeah, that's a good point. And for all the listeners, there will be links in the show notes for all those things that he just mentioned. So the home is a big deal, obviously, and a lot of your content is geared towards that. What other concerns have you noticed when some of the boomers are coming to your site, and in terms of like what kind of content they want?
Well, it's an odd situation that a lot of people are in. They are, they've built the lives for themselves, and they're very social and they're lifelong learners, and they have all these things that they want to spend their time doing. Not all of them, have left the workforce yet. So they're, full or part-time still doing that. They're also taking care of older parents, right? And they have children who may or may not be living at home with them, depending on their situation. And then there's the financial end of it, right? They've been lots of ups and downs. So those are some taking care of parents in the caregiving aspect, because a lot of them too in caregiving, they may be taking care of their spouse. Right. And another big area is philanthropy. This is a generation that loves to contribute, and they like being involved in the things that align with their values, and they like to be involved with companies that align with their values. Yeah. So they're very persistent in the fact that they want to volunteer, they want to donate money, they want to be involved in things. And that's going to be a big stickler for them as they continue to grow older, and they're going to need help being able to do that. And I don't just mean help, going to a social activity, getting there. They're going to need help from people like you physically to be able to maintain that level of activity.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I'm just looking through your site here, and one thing that is evident, other than the good content, is how you portray some of this information. And it is definitely obvious to me that you have the end user in mind in terms of, the person that's coming to consume this material. It is written for them and very easy to take in. Physical therapists, or I guess rehab professionals, I would say have notoriously been terrible at this in terms of being able to portray what we do or our identity to the public. And I'd like to know, what are some of the big principles that you use to guide how you communicate this information to your end user?
Okay, well, that's actually a very good point. And I would just like to say before we get into that you don't need to be too hard on yourself because you're not alone in that fact.
Yeah.
If you think honestly about, being in the weeds of doing the work that you do, it doesn't matter what type of work that you do, you get singularly focused, right? And you know the ins and outs, the technicalities, all the facts and figures, and good or bad, it generates what's the right word? An attitude from the provider. And I don't want to say matter of fact, but you kind of have to treat it that way because it's so technical, right? There's so many things that you're dealing with, and you have to stay focused on that. So you're not alone. And the trick is, and I say trick, but you need to learn to talk about what you do in a way that's not going to fall on deaf ears.
Okay. How's that?
Well, first of all, you need to understand your audience. Okay, that they have a certain mindset, how they look at things, how they feel about things, how they see themselves in the world. I mentioned earlier that the baby boomers, by and large, they have a heart for philanthropy.
Yeah.
Right. They love giving back. They love seeing progress made. I mean, let's face it, every generation they've ever been a part of, they've changed the world in one way or the other.
Right.
So that's one thing you need to know about them. And you need to know how they talk about what their lives are like, how they see it. For instance, you probably wouldn't want to go around throwing the word elderly around.
Yeah.
Because they don't see themselves that way. Now, their parents may be old,
yeah.
right? But they're not.
Right.
And they just don't see themselves that way. So when we coach business owners, the approach we take is we try to get these owners to see a little bit of the world kind of how the boomers do, so they can begin talking about what they do in a way that resonates with their audience. That's good marketing. It doesn't matter who you are or what you offer or who you're talking to. So instead of focusing on, let's say, getting older, you're focusing on vitality, right? Or continuing to build a full and rich life, or continuing to have an impact in your community, right? In the people that you care about, and being able to still have a life that's meaningful, because those are the types of things that drive all of us.
Yeah. And that is something that is, this has been a lot of discussions, especially on Twitter, about our professional preparation for those, basic marketing business principles, is that that can be easily missed in our training. So a lot of people, may go out and open up their own clinic, and they're really good clinicians, but in terms of the business and marketing standpoint, and just some of those principles you mentioned can be absent, which is very limiting. So I think that's a good segue into just kind of the business that you do, other than agentplace.com. Tell us about BYBL.
Okay. Let me say this first, and let's just be really honest here. I kind of alluded to this earlier, but we talk to so many people, and this is kind of the analogy that we use. You have someone who's a technician of some kind, whether that is a medical technician or, a remodeling technician, it doesn't matter, but you do this technical work.
Yeah.
And you do it because you enjoy it, or you have a passion for it, or you really want to serve the people that you're working with, whatever it is, right? You feel a calling and you go do that.
Yeah.
But like you said, you don't really get prepared to run a business. Mm-hmm. You learn how to do the work that you want to do. But that's not necessarily running a small business and serving a specific group of people. And what happens is you end up getting in a position, and I'm saying this as a warning, or even some encouragement for people who are already in this position. When you strike out on your own, you need to make sure that you're prepared. You can't just dive in and expect it all to be, unicorns and rainbows. You've got to learn the basics of business. And one of those things is marketing. And I will tell you that every demographic, every, sub-demographic, there's idiosyncrasies to them. And you need to understand, if you're going to target a certain group of people, what that means in terms of talking about what you do and how you talk about that and where you talk about it. Okay. For instance, if you're going to advertise a business to older customers, you can advertise in print and on the radio and, TV and whatever until you're blue in the face, and you're not really going to get that much out of it.
Yeah.
Not unless you have a ton of money to throw at it, okay? Which most people don't.
Right.
You're better served, and your customers will be better served by aligning your business and how you market it with the customers that you're trying to reach. And by that, I mean getting involved in the community, getting out there and educating, becoming seen as the expert for this particular type of work, right?
Yeah.
So now what you're doing is you're developing rapport. So over time, it's not something that's going to happen with one talk or, one interview or anything else. But you eventually get to the point to where people are going to view you as an expert. And that is not only going to help you grow in terms of a business, but it's going to spread a positive brand image for you. Because now you're an expert who leads with giving, right? You're giving them information at every contact that you have with them. You're giving them information that helps them see their lives differently or learn something that's going to help them have a better life, positively impacts them in some way.
Yeah. And that's super helpful.
Yeah. And so in terms of booming your bottom line, what we do is we help businesses accomplish these things.
Yeah.
We mainly work with people who work in the home, whether they're remodelers or builders or occupational therapists or whatever, people that want to do the work of remodeling. So we have coaching and classes that are available. We have virtual training. We do a large number of things, but most of it is in coaching and training the business owners from start to finish on how to align their businesses with these people and make sure you're offering the right services and doing so in a way that resonates with them so they're having a greater impact in their communities. And we started Booming Your Bottom Line because we wanted a way to affect change in communities across the nation, right? Because we couldn't reach every community. And we realized early on, I did when just 6 months into having ageinplace.com, when I got my first call from a remodeler who didn't know what to do, who was looking for information about how to help someone, that the businesses at a local level that are serving these people, whether they like it or not, they're part of the network of care.
That's a good point.
And it's a concept that a lot of business owners have a hard time wrapping their minds around. But just because you don't provide something that's medical doesn't mean you're not part of the network of care. Because what is the network of care? It's a support system.
Yeah.
So that means if you are in the medical field, or you do remodeling, or you do transportation or delivery, everybody's part of that support system.
Yeah. Yeah, then that is very evident. If anyone spends any time with someone in their home, especially if they're having some difficulties as they age. Yeah, and that's a good point, and that's what has been echoed by several other people that I've talked with is to create that network, but to create easier communication, that we speak the same language, that we all see how our roles are super important for the health and just the livelihood of everyone involved, but definitely the older adults that we're talking about now. So you've worked with some occupational therapists. What have you worked with many groups in terms of rehab professionals?
Not many.
Yeah.
No. I mean, we've worked with a couple.
Okay. So have there been some themes, some similarities between those groups?
Well, I got to be honest with you. The themes are the same regardless of the type of work. It's all, and that's why we focus on the things that we do, because we identified through having the exposure to small business owners. You know, my business partner and I have both been doing this 10 plus years. We did it separately before we ever did it together, right? So
Wow.
we've got 20 plus years of working and talking with small business owners, and the themes are the same. It's how to reach them, right? How to align what you're doing with them in a way that they're going to warm up to, and how to talk about what you do in a way that enhances their lives. So it's not just about building your business. I mean, that's a byproduct of the commitment to education that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That happens as a natural occurrence once you commit yourself to educating. And I got to tell you, I don't know, how many people in your audience are in the position where they have their own practice, or they're thinking about doing something like that. And I just want to say that, I mean, I would encourage you, if that's something that you feel like you want to do and you want to get involved in this type of work, that's great. We would definitely support you. But in terms of being in a clinical environment and staying there, that's awesome too. I mean, you still can affect change in people's lives, and you can still educate, and you can still direct and teach and all those other things, and still make an incredible difference for the people that you're serving right there in the clinical environment.
Yeah.
And it can go way beyond just the physical work that you're doing with them.
Yeah. I would agree. And if a clinician, like if I just think just for myself, if I invest in growing my knowledge and being able to help people in kind of a bigger way than just the physical, which, is not, I don't want to limit, if a PT just focuses on physical dysfunctions and patients' abilities. I don't want to say that's a bad thing by any means, but if I do want to expand my reach and focus on some of these things that you're talking about, I guarantee you that the perception of the home care company and I imagine a lot of their referrals would potentially go up, because that is not a very common thing in the home health environment. And there has been a pretty common theme that I've witnessed in terms of the quality of care can be kind of low in a lot of and especially in home health. And this is not just coming from me. It can be the president of our home health section, Dee Cornetti, even echoed that as well. So if someone really invests in these areas, your quality of care is going to go up, but I imagine, the bottom line will go up as well. Hence the name of your
That's
your
very
business.
true. And I mean, let's think about it. The possibilities are endless in terms of what you could experience as a clinician who took that step to do that additional learning, right? Whether it's take a course or just educate yourself.
Yeah.
Because now you're bringing more value to the institution that you're working for.
Right.
Right. And I got to be honest with you, if you're going to do that, then you need to let people know that you know, because you have a chance right then and there, because to affect change in the institution as well as the level of service they provide, but also in more people's lives.
Yeah.
If in home health, where is a better place for people who know about what needs to happen in a home than in home health? Right? I mean, what if every home health company dedicated themselves to being the hub of information about the home and the care in the home,
right?
And every clinician built their own professional network, or maybe even at a city level, the home health organizations built professional networks where now they're advising people on what needs to happen in the home, and they have people that they've built relationships with that could come in and do the work.
Yeah.
I mean, amazing. How awesome would that be?
Yeah.
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Oh my gosh. And my experiences have been, it's been frustrating too, because that has been, has been lacking. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
you need these services. You know, this person needs whatever modification, but the services do not speak to one another, or communicate well, or you don't even know who in town is actually able to do some of these things, and it's just terribly difficult.
Right.
Which
And
others may have a different experience, but that's just been me.
well, nobody that I've talked to has had a different experience.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Um, it it sounds like, oh, this would be great if this happened right now,
Mm-hmm.
because we're at that point in time on the curve of the boomers growing older, where people are starting to talk about it. As people are starting to think about it, it may sound like a good idea to do this, that, or the other. But I'm going to tell you, 10 or 15 years from now,
Mm-hmm.
it is going to be a weight on every community across the United States.
Yeah.
And the people who can get this right, who can learn to talk about this in a way that facilitates conversations with consumers and organizations alike, those are going to be the people who can build businesses that have a major impact in their communities and build a revenue stream that will set them up for the rest of their lives.
Mm.
I mean, there are companies now. We work with people. We're working with a remodeler in Cincinnati who focuses on home remodeling for older people, as well as for people who have like ALS or diseases that impact a person physically.
Yeah.
And he has been able to position himself as the place to go,
Wow.
the company to talk to.
Yeah.
And it's just, his company's just growing like crazy. And he's helping so many people. It's awesome.
Yeah. That's amazing. I think, the opportunities are endless for sure. In what you're saying, especially, in that construction world, but then for us as well. So I think that's probably a good place to wrap up. So tell us, where we can reach you. 'Cause I know there's going to be a lot of listeners that, this has been a frustration for them in terms of the whole term aging in place and how to better serve their patients. It's been a frustration. It has been for me, and I guarantee it's been for many of my listeners. How could they learn more about you and the services you all provide, so they can better serve their patients?
Okay, well, if you want to learn about the idea of aging in place, you can go to ageinplace.com, and we have a lot of information about the home there that you can peruse through and learn about things that need to happen in each room to support people that are aging in place. If you want to learn more about how you can create a business or grow your business serving older people who are aging in place, then you can just go to bybllive.com. That is our business site for small business owners who are serving these people. If you want to reach out to me directly, you can just reach me at mark@bybllive.com.
Okay, mark@bybllive.com. And all the links that he just mentioned, and also the podcast that you all do, and then also that whole modification course that you mentioned, all that will be in the show notes for people to check out at seniorrehabproject.com. So, all right. Well, I appreciate your time and reaching out and connecting on Twitter, and just, I just really enjoy going through this site because it is very eye-opening, and, this conversation has definitely motivated me, to learn more so, I can better serve my patients. So I just want to thank you, but encourage you as well, just to, you probably already know this, but the impact that you're having with this information is just huge. So I encourage you to keep doing it, and I know all the listeners will definitely check out ageinplace.com and your other services. And I'm just looking forward to see what's to come of this, within next 10, 20 years. I mean, it's going to be wild, but you're in a good position to serve a lot of people.
Well, thank you, Dustin. Appreciate you having me on the show.
There you have it, folks. Mark Hager. Mark wanted me to let you all know that he created a little landing site for you all to visit to learn more about the longevity economy. He has a resource called Longevity Economy 101 that's linked to this landing page. So go ahead, check it out. The link is going to be in the show notes, and I'll tell it to you right now. It's bybllive.com/senior rehab. Thanks again, y'all. I'll talk to you soon.